I'm Chad.Taylor.Psychotherapist, author of It's You, Oh Fuck, It's Me. No tips, no fixing, just real conversations. So today I've got Matt Peale with me. So Matt, who the fuck are you?
My name's Matt Peale. I, who the fuck am I? I live in the New Orleans, Louisiana area. I'm a fitness professional, also an author. I wrote the book, The Athlete in the Game of Life, back in 2020. I'm also a sports performance coach and work with people to help them overcome postural imbalances as they sit as we're kind of doing here today, all day in front of screens, and then try to exercise and get out there and do the things that they enjoy and got to overcome their chronic pain and their imbalances so that they can have happier lives and go out and figure out who the fuck they are too.
Well said. And I think posture, just on that thing right there, posture is a big thing that I struggle with myself. So people like you who are studying this field and trying to help people, I think is so necessary because I think posture is everything. How people relate to you in the world, how you relate to yourself. I know for me, I was a really overweight kid and I think I got picked on a lot. So I almost have this bit of a hunch where, from what I can gather, is I was trying to hide my overweight stomach and that led me to hunch over and hide it. And then that's now really fucked my posture.
Right. Yeah, we judge someone as they walk up. How are they standing? Do they? That's also a sign of self-confidence. Is someone kind of standing up tall? Are they hunched over a little bit more? All this nonverbal communication that is given as soon as you see someone. That's part of a first impression. And then even I think as part of just ongoing impressions, as even though I might be smiling and having a good time and you're good friends with them, but if they don't have good posture, it just sends a different kind of signal to you than someone who stands up tall and maybe they're unhappy, but if they stand up tall, it seems like, hey, this guy got or this lady's got his shit together or her shit together just because of how they standing and present themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we don't learn, a bit like a lot of the stuff that I talk about in my book. Egocentricity and understanding and patterns and common denominators in relationships, I think we really don't talk about. I don't think I'd ever, until it got to a point where I was unhappy with my hunching as an adult, I don't think I was ever really taught. Stand up straight. It's a sign of confidence. It's how you feel about yourself. It's not really talked about.
You're right, it's not, but it also can lead to a number of health problems with like tension headaches, migraine headaches, fatigue, because even as you're hunched over, what you can do when you're compressing your diaphragm, which then means you don't can't breathe as well as if you're stand up tall and your diaphragm can contract and expand as normal. So some people think, well, man, I'm just tired all the time. And you may be, but at the same time, if your posture is bad and you are hunched over, leaning over, compressing all the time, you're not getting all the air you can into your body. And so you are going to feel fatigued and you are going to be tired. And you might not even realize that's part of the cause.
Yeah, and fatigued and tired leads to what we're talking about here, relationships and mental health and anxiety and happiness. It's all so interconnected. It's everything. Mind, body, emotional, physical, spiritual, really, it's all so connected. And I think we miss a lot of this stuff. We just think we'll go see this therapist. He's got a 5-step program. We'll go and see him for 5 sessions and then we leave and then we're all okay. And we don't holistically deal. I go to a chiropractor pretty regularly and a lot of people like to judge them or they love them, right? A bit like everything in the world. And just after this, I've got you and then I've got another one. And then I go for my weekly massage, which is for an hour and a half, which Debbie, if you're listening to this, you changed my life on a weekly basis because it's these things that we don't have the time a lot of the time to take care of. And then we wonder why we're having unhappy relationships and we hate our boss and we're too tired to go for a walk because it all interlinks. Because I guess for me, you're probably not someone that I'd normally have on the show, but I love to be curious and understand how that's my goal is to be open minded. So I love to hear people like you where what can I learn from this guy and not think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. So for anyone listening, thinking I was coming on here because I was going to listen about relationships, it all interlinks, right?
And 100% interlinks because where does movement starts in the brain, right? Thinking starts in the brain. The brain is where all of our life starts. Yes, physically, of course, we need our heart, we need our lungs, we need everything else working together, kidneys, liver. But again, it's the nerve impulses that come from your brain that go down your spinal cord, then out to your peripheral nervous system that makes you lift your hand, makes you walk, makes you be able to eat, and then figure out how am I going to pick up this cell phone that is now dominating my entire life. Everything it is all connected to the brain. And if we're not addressing things in the brain, then helps with our movement patterns and then helps with our endorphins and then how we relate to people and our posture and all that, um, then we're missing out. It's and that's why you have people like you have people like me who kind of specialize in one area, but from a holistic standpoint, like you're saying, right? It is all interconnected. You can't just say, well, I only work on the body because that's not true. I'm working on the brain while I'm working on the body with people.
100%. And the same for me, even though I'm working on the mind, a lot of the time it is really about if you meditate, if you sit up straight, if you try and go for a walk in the morning, walking meditations, it doesn't really matter what it is. So it's just
Right.
so good to have you on here. For anyone out there, I was on Matt's podcast. It was so much fun. The Americans have got I love their energy in Australia where we love to beat people down for some reason more than build them up. But I think you guys are good at, from what I experience, and it might be different. You guys are good at really bigging people up. We're in Australia for some reason. We love to push the other person down to make ourselves feel better. For any Australians out there thinking, fuck you, Chad, saying that, making us look bad, prove me wrong. I did a funny skit of an Instagram reel the other day about the fuel restrictions, and I probably got equally as much. It's had like, I don't know, 18,000 likes and 1,000 comments, right? Probably my most, too bad it's not about my book, right? But the amount of hate coming towards me is like, and even a friend of mine who he got on there and said, like, if they only knew. And that's what I sort of laugh because I'm not going to defend myself. And this is the thing: if we only knew, right? If we only were curious to the other person, if we become more curious and more compassionate, the
Right.
world would change.
True. So you're 100% correct. And yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Australian culture like what you're saying. Obviously, here in America, we do our fair share of beating people down. But it's interesting that you talk about that the differences of the ones you've interacted like myself and whoever else has been on your podcast or maybe patients or clients, friends, that we do tend to build other people up. So that's a positive because what we hear through our media is everybody hates Americans, fucking ugly Americans. And yes, we can be ugly when we travel because we think everything should be like it is at home, but it's not. Uh, that's just an interesting perspective that you brought up that I didn't even know about, realize.
And I think, not that we're having a history lesson here, people, and I did say this to another client that was on, I think we can sometimes misconstrue passion with arrogance, right? Where I think a lot of Americans are passionate, and I'm not trying to give you a history lesson about your own country, but I think my experience is Americans are very passionate. And I think
Hmm.
that can be taken as arrogance or it can be taken as righteousness, where because I'm pretty passionate in my own life. I think
Hmm.
people misconstrue me sometimes and take it the wrong way that I feel like I'm righteous when I get so engrossed in the passion about whatever I'm talking about. And that's part of the addict in
Yes.
me. And I think that gets misconstrued in their head that it's aggression or that it's arrogance or that it's righteousness. So I think if people would just be open minded, the problem in Australia is we'd see at the moment, if somebody said American, we'd see the little orange man with the round head, right? In it. That would be the first image most people would go to because that's what's going on in the world.
Right. Yeah. Trust me, we probably think the same thing.
And again, I don't know the guy, so I try not to have too much of a comment, right? I know that, and we're not going to get political here because I don't know enough about politics to have a comment, right? I get that if there's
Mhm.
war going on, it's shit. And surely in 2026 we could stop fucking killing each other and really all in the name of money and power. but I don't know enough about it to have too much comments. So that's why when people
Right.
want to talk about it, I say I'm not informed enough. And the Dalai Lama said, he who changes the world changes himself first. And that's how I try and work on myself and with others. That if I want the world to change, will I change? And then hopefully
Right.
then if I change, then the next person that interacts with me maybe is a bit changed. And it's not because of me, it's because I'm radiating, like you said to me, I think, or somebody else said, we've got this 6 foot energy radius around us. All of us have got
Hmm.
almost a 6 foot energy radius. And then there's also like this sort of vortex that goes up and down and around. And I'm moving my hands here and no one can see that. All these things are scientific, but we like to believe that these aren't happening. So I guess coming back to where we are, who do you have an ideal like have say with your practice or what you do? Is it only in person or do you work with people on Zoom or
I have a couple people on Zoom, but mostly it's in person. That's where I thrive more. I guess I would say old school with, I'll be 51 here next month. We're recording here in the middle of April. So on May 25th, I turned 51. And I have a marketing degree. I didn't go to school for fitness. I went to school and have a marketing degree and did outside sales. So fitness is just another version of outside sales. And that type of sales was, business to business, going into businesses, say, hey, my name is Matt Peale. I work with 123 XYZ, trying to set an appointment. I've had to learn how to interact, and that's where I know how to sell. I can sell in person. I fucking suck selling over the internet and trying to sell services online, which is I know what everybody's a lot of going for, but I'm an in-person dude, man. So work with me. If you standing there across from me, yes, I'm a lot more effective that way than I am trying to portray what I do on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm an in person as much as I possibly can. Because same thing, how can I direct you? How can I position you? I can't do it online. I can look at your camera like we're right now and say, okay, well, stand up a little this way or shift a little bit that way. How do you feel? But if I'm right there with you, then I can walk around you. I can see things I can't see just from one viewpoint at a time, unless you're turning around constantly.
yeah. I love that. And I think everything's better in person. Everything in the world is better in person, right?
Yeah, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. And that's why we still take trips and vacations, right? I can post some video of the French Quarter and you can look at it and go, "Oh, that's nice." But until you're there to truly hear it and smell it and experience that, and same thing with you and your beaches down in Australia, right? I can look at them on YouTube or you can send me a video from your phone, but until I'm there using all five senses, right, you don't get the full effect.
And that's how we experience the world through our senses. I think people don't even understand that word sensation. We have a sensation of the world, and that's how we process that experience. So where can
Yeah,
people find you?
yeah.
I try and do this at the start in case people get sick of hearing my voice. I try and do this at the start rather than leave it at the end so that if people shut it off, they've already got your details to find you. Where can people find you?
You can go to my website, mattpeale, Peale.com. You can find me on Instagram where I follow you, which is Matt Peale, CES. Matt Peale on X. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My Facebook is Athlete in the Game of Life. And then I also have a TikTok called Strengthen at Your Desk.
Perfect. And I'll put some of those main ones in the show notes for anyone that wants to scroll and have a look if you want to contact Matt. And what area of America do you work in?
I live in the New Orleans, Louisiana area.
Cool. The Water Boy.
A little bit, a little bit. That's actually further west, about 2 hours is where that stands comes in from. But yeah,
For anyone that hasn't seen that movie, it's pretty epic.
it is very epic. You're right.
So what I do on this podcast, the last guest leaves a statement, a question, or something for the next guest to be hit with. So I'm going to give it to you. Creating memories are the gateway to happiness. What happens for you when you hear that?
Creating memories are the gateways to happiness.
Yeah.
But I think that brings up happiness in me as memories that I have of traveling, for example. I love to travel whenever possible and creating experiences. And I've one of the things for like as gifts, sometimes I ask people, do you want an object, a coffee mug as you're drinking out of, or would you rather have an experience? Like, would you want to go see a concert? Do you want to go to dinner? Do you want to go to a festival? And now at my point, I'm not rolling in dough, but I can buy what I need. So I would always opt for an experience, which is now a memory, which then brings happiness.
I love that. And I'm the same with my kids. It's not so much the gifts. I call it appearances or experiences because I've got two girls. Do you want something for your appearance? In other words, a t-shirt or a pair of Nikes or
Hmm.
whatever you want, like whatever's going to bring you happiness in the moment? Or do you want an experience? Do you want to go exactly that? My daughter just turned 15 and I bought tickets to Tame Impala for her, which is a bit of it's a double gift for me because I get to go and enjoy that experience with her. We went and
Yeah,
seen Tyler the Creator, which is like a dude that I would probably never listen to. It's not my jam, but the concert was fucking epic. We had fireworks indoors and it was a pretty it was a pretty intense concert. So exactly what
yeah,
you're
that's
saying there.
nice.
It's a gateway to happiness, right? Creating memories is all we've ever got. And I'm going to ask you that right now. When you hear that, what's one of the most memorable things that when I say that, if I was to ask you to hit me with one or two of the most memorable things you can remember, what would they be?
I'll just go recently from Friday. Here in New Orleans, we have French Quarter Festival, which is a huge free festival with music and food all over the French Quarter, mostly local New Orleans area, Louisiana artists. And going down there on a Friday afternoon at say 3 o'clock, 2:30, when most people are still at work, but able to get out of my work and go experience it on a sunny, beautiful day for us, around 80 degrees with, a buddy I've known since high school, 30, almost over 30 years we've known each other, right? That's a great experience for me. It's something I look forward to actually every year. It's an annual one for me. So that's one I love doing every year.
Yeah, and I love hearing that because even that word happiness, when that person left you that last time, that word happiness, if we look at the Latin sort of where that word happiness comes from, it almost translates to be present as the moment is happening. So in other words, the happiness is happening in the moment. It is as the experience happens, not happiness will be when I pay my mortgage off, or happiness will be when I get the car that I want, or happiness will be when I get the partner I want, or the job I want. The happiness is happening all the time around us, but we've just got to be able to be free of our thinking to come back to being present in the moment. So I love an annual event, like probably not that big of a deal to people who haven't experienced it, but that's the thing with
Right,
memories. They don't necessarily have to be a big glamorous thing. They're ours, right?
right, right. Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you what from my book or what from the name of my book stood out for you, do you think?
The name, of course, everyone talks about that. The name number one right there. But to be able to have really from you, I think it shows how much passion you have about what you're talking about and what you do for a living to be able to say, hey, you know what? Like, fuck it, I'm going to put this on the name of a book, right? And put it out there and openly promote it and have no qualms saying the title, it's you, oh, fuck, it's me, and not be like, as we would say maybe here in America, like too Puritan or too, I can't, I can't get into that.
Yeah.
So that just shows, I think, for you, your courage and that you're a firm believer in what you do, and that's impressive. Not a lot of people are. So
Yeah, and I love to hear that. Not because it's about me, but I love to hear what it means for you. And then I'm gonna put you on the spot. Where are some examples in your life recently, or when you think it was the other person and it was you?
I mean, maybe right now. as we talked about, is I'm again navigating, a change potentially in my relationship. Um, and yeah, looking at me, where what could I have done differently? Of course, right? That was one thing we talked about when you were on my show, and I go to a counselor once a month and figuring out what is it with me? What can I do? Uh, I can only control me. I can pray and I can have belief and I can picture things in my mind. And there's the science out there of, if when you can hold an image in your head and then have the faith and whatever your spirituality is to it, that miracles do happen and you can overcome whatever adversity that is there if you firmly believe it and hold on to it. And then at the end, that's all you can do is this for yourself and have the faith that somehow things will potentially work out for you.
Yeah, and have you got some examples for any of us, people or you, where we think we can hide behind awareness, where we almost hide behind, especially as us as being men, right? There can be almost this, um, through history, it's almost there's a role that we all play, right? And I think, like, where do you see in the world these days where we can almost hide behind our identity or our awareness?
I think I think politics is a big place that people hide behind and try to perceive or make people perceive what they are by political beliefs, in which may or may not necessarily be correct about a person, but that's where people will tend to, I think, hide behind is various political beliefs that they have. There's a variety of subjects you can talk about on there, but I definitely put political beliefs are kind of a hiding place that people would put up a front to, um, for what they really are truly feeling.
Yeah, and I love to hear that because it is a thing at the moment more than ever. And I don't know if it's an age thing for me, but I think 20 years ago, I didn't really give a fuck about politics. I didn't, and I still don't really. But I think more
Right.
now, I don't know if it's social media or what's going on in the world or what it is, but I think it's more prevalent right now that people want to come in and pay me for a session and they want to talk about the little orange man, right? Like, well, the big orange
Right.
man, whatever you want to call him. I want
Right.
to talk about Trump and the ways of the world. And I'm almost trying to bring it back to them of, hey, do you really want to spend your session and your money talking about something that, not saying we don't have control over, because I think we all have a level of control, but the only control we have over is how we react to a certain situation.
Yeah, and that's yeah. Talk about a human being that is on the other side of the planet that they don't have a relationship with, that they probably never going to have a relationship with, and how why is that such a blooming light or dark path in your life there in Australia? You got a lot of shit going on right there. I'm sure, so this person is right there in front of you in your own house more than what the orange man is doing on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. And even being an athlete, right? And in your field, I'm not overly athletic. And I have had couples come in and their weeks. So how their week goes as a couple is determined upon whether the football team won on the weekend or not. We become so identified and just with what you do, and I'm guessing Super Bowl and things like that, right? We
Oh,
become
sports.
people are punching each other out over a certain jersey or a certain, like, we identify with things. I think we feel safe when we identify with a group or a collective
Yeah.
because it allows us to avoid our own shit.
Oh, agreed. It's yeah, sports, right? Sports is passion, right? People are passionate about whatever team, whatever sport that you are. And so, yes, you go to that group and you find your commonality in that group of like, and you also find the commonality of dislike for for the other group, for the other team. Hey, I'm just as guilty. I fully admit it. I am a New Orleans Saints fan. I do not like the Atlanta Falcons. No problems. I will own it for the rest of my life. They don't like us. Cool. But that's what makes some of the fun. But again, when you take it in context, right? I don't hate you as a person, like truly hate you as a person because you're an Atlanta Falcons fan. We'll have that rivalry, that way to kind of, you know, tied with each other. But at the end of the day, no, man, that's not going to make a difference whether you're a true friend or not a true friend.
Yeah, and I love to hear that because I think we do get caught up in our own thinking sometimes, and it can become we can make things really personal that aren't personal,
Right.
you know. And
Right.
and even that, like, do you have kids? Are you your father, or do you have kids? Or
I do. He's 24. He's on his own, living on his own. Got a college degree and has a job and working away. So, but yeah, I do.
okay, that's exciting. And how has he followed in your footsteps, or has he become his own man? Like,
No, he's become his own man, different from his mother. Her and I are divorced, but we get along very, very well. Uh, different from her, different from me. For example, she's a big sports fan. I'm a big sports fan. He hates sports. So where did that come from? But yeah, he is his own man, and we let him do his thing, and he lives in Los Angeles area. I'm in New Orleans area. She lives over in Eastern Florida. So he's out there doing his thing.
yeah, good on him. And I love because I think a lot of us men we grow up almost seeking the love from our fathers and trying to become who they want us to seek out that love rather than who we are. And I see that a lot in therapy practice. And also vice versa, that sometimes we can carry that on into our adulthood where, say, a father is really pushing his son to be a good football player because for him, it's an extension of who he is and he doesn't even realize what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So
There's a lot of that.
there's a lot of that. And it comes back to the same topic about, and I'm going to ask you this, but what do you think unconsciousness costs us in our relationships, whether it's professional, friends, intimate partnerships? Like, what does unconsciousness cost us, do you think, in our relationships?
I think our subconscious plays a massive role in our relationships that
Yeah.
we don't even know until you study behavior. I mean, I also study behavior with books that I read and the audio books and things that I listen to. Our subconscious is huge, and it doesn't. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between good or bad, truth or a lie. It's whatever you're telling it, the subconscious is going to believe. So whatever you've been telling yourself, your subconscious, it's going to believe that, and then try to make that happen for you. Good or bad, it's pushing you in that direction. It's forming your beliefs. So we have to pay attention to what are we feeding our brains, which also goes back to physically too. Like, oh man, I fucking suck at golf. I'm fucking terrible. So you go out there and that's the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You smash your clubs. Look, I've been saying this because I'm actually saying it about myself. So
I was going to
it's
ask you
what
that.
are you, yeah, yeah. I'd say it about myself, right? So it's what are you telling yourself about it? If I told myself, hey man, I'm good at golf, you know, who cares if I just screw that shot up completely? I'll get another one. All right, but no, here's my own therapy session, and I get it. Like, no, fuck, man, this hole's done. Like, it's done. This round is done, and I'm already off my game, right? So it's what are you feeding yourself? What are you telling yourself? Again, your subconscious will believe whatever it is. Is the orange man really orange, or is he really purple? Right? Whatever your subconscious mind tells it, that's then you're gonna look at him and say, nope, that motherfucker's purple. No, he's orange. Nope, he's purple. Right?
And my mind's going right now too. Maybe he's actually a sweet potato
Maybe, who knows?
because over here you get purple sweet potatoes and orange ones.
Right?
Maybe he's not human. Maybe he's a sweet potato.
Maybe so.
But so I'm just going to quickly push you on that golf thing for a bit, right? Like, just only because this is part of what I do here. It's a bit challenging. That what does it look like if you're playing around the golf with some friends and you're starting to lose your shit? How's that? How's that for the whole dynamic? Do you think?
Well, I think all of the ones I play with, we all end up losing our shit when we're playing golf. In one way or another, we all lose our shit in some way or another, some more than others. Um, and I truly, I put more pressure on myself than is necessary. And I know I do. And how can I fix that? I don't know. I got to sit there and talk with you for the next 45 years and figure that shit out. But yeah, what do we place on ourselves? Pressure, or we relax? Can we let things roll off our back? Um, it all varies.
And do you think there's a bit of fun in all of his losing your shit too, though, just for people out there, so it's not all doesn't all look bad? Like, is there? Does there come some humor from losing your shit, or it's actually just losing your shit?
No, there comes humor from it. At the end, there comes humor from it, because we'll all say, oh, that was we will. Life sucks right now for everybody. The whole force of life sucks,
Isn't it funny?
and we yeah,
Fuck my life because I haven't got this little white ball into the hole in the right amount of strokes. Fuck my life.
that's that's correct.
And that's what we do in relationships, right? I think we project
Yep.
onto the other person how we want them to treat us. And if they don't give us everything they want, or we make it about us. And this is this thing I said to someone the other day in therapy. I said, even that word, when we take something personally, like that's so narcissistic and selfish that you say something and I make it
Mhm.
about me.
Right. It's hard. It's hard. Life is hard.
Life is
Life's
hard. The
hard
Buddha said
sometimes.
that
Yep.
2,500 years ago.
Yeah.
The first noble truth was life is suffering. But then the second note, and if we stop there, it's like, well, fuck, what are we bothering doing? And then the
Yeah.
second noble truth of Buddhism being where we suffer is in our thinking. This is my translation, by the way. It actually translates to life is dukkha, which means unsatisfactoriness. So life is unsatisfactory, in other words. And then it goes on to say that we suffer in our thinking. So
Right.
change the thinking, change our experience. Like I can see why getting X sometimes when I'm in the car and I'm getting angry at another driver, part of me is almost loving, like I'm laughing as I don't yell at them internally, but I might be saying something under my breath and sometimes my partner thinks I'm really serious, but part of it is I'm like, fucking look at this old person. They should have a taxi if they can't do the fucking speed limit. They should just get a taxi. But there's part of me that's almost, there's a bit of fun in that, right? That I think gets, again, misconstrued.
Yeah.
It's really,
True enough, man.
yeah, coming back to consciousness. All right, so we're pretty much at the end here. One sentence, question, statement, not really teaching, but something for the next guest.
I'll use a quote from Jim Rohn. How's that?
Perfect.
Jim Rohn was a philosopher, professional development guy, and one of the things he says, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better.
I love
So
that. Thanks, Matt. We're going to leave it there.